Hello everyone, I'm back. I've had a busy time over the last 2 years. I've done a lot of work on the ST, but unfortunately I've been that busy buying like a new house and having children, I haven't had time to do any videos. So this is the first one I'm putting on for a while. Hopefully there's going to be some more. Today we're going to be talking about the intermediate drive shaft bearing on a MK3 Mondeo. So I have actually removed it. I'll show you here quickly what it is. We have the drive shaft coming out of the gearbox, the old bearing, and there's a little cup which sits on the end of the drive shaft to house the main drive shaft that sits in the hub, and also you have the bearing carrier there. I bought a new bearing, £20, bit cheaper than buying the full drive shaft for £80. So it's not going to be hugely informative. It's just going to, I'm just going to show you what I've taken apart in order to get the drive shaft out. So it does require removing the bottom ball joint, the track rod end, the drop link, and also the main hub nut. So I had to undo the main hub nut first while the car was on the ground. I have actually bought myself a DeWalt impact gun, £169.99. So this should make my life a lot easier undoing bolts and things. I just thought it was time to upgrade to something a bit more professional. So I'm going to just take you under the car and show you what I had to do in order to take the drive shaft out. So see you in a bit. Oh, just another quick note. The intermediate bearing actually sits down here, and there's like a cup which sits on top of it as well, and that's where the other drive shaft houses into it. In order to get these off, it just required a chisel and a hammer. Took me about 5 or 6 good bashes on the inner race of the bearing there. But make sure you've got it upside down on something solid, and I had a lump of wood so you don't damage the splines in order to get those off. But they're very easy to get off. Like I said, a chisel and a hammer, quite a hefty cold chisel and hammer, I might add. But yeah, this little cup seems to have a little rubber seal there, so just be careful. Don't. I was going to heat it up with a blowtorch, and then I realised that looked like rubber in there, so I just decided to go with the chisel and hammer on the top, on the inner race of the bearing. So yeah, that's how I got that off. So yeah, just a quick note on that. As you can see here, I've had to take the main hub nut off. I did that while the car was on the ground, because they're tightened up to about 300 Newton meters, I think, or foot pounds, I can't remember which. They're quite tight. On the ground, breaker bar, that cracks them off. Also, I removed the drop link from the front strut as well, just so that I've got movement, a bit of movement there, so I can move the strut around. And I've also removed the tie rod end or track rod end from the back of the hub there. So relatively simple to do. And then I've also removed the bottom ball joint. I've got a cloth around it at the minute, but you have to move the bottom ball joint out the bottom of the hub so that you can pull the drive shaft out on an angle. And then if we go under the car, you will need to drain the gearbox. Can't see it actually from there. No, you can't see it from there. So that's the chisel and hammer I used to get the bearings off, and that's where the little cup sits. So this is your drive shaft, that's your hub nut that you need to get off, and that's where the little intermediate drive shaft spline slots into in your offside drive shaft. So yeah, I hope that kind of helps people, because I couldn't find a video explaining how to take the intermediate drive shaft bearing out. So hopefully this helps people. You will need to drain the gearbox by this plug here. Now this here is it's an impact bit. It's an 8mm bit, and I've cut it to size so that it fits in between the subframe and the gearbox. It's quite tight, and then I just put a spanner on it and took it off. You also should make sure that you can take the filler plug out as well, because you obviously need to refill it. There's about 2 litres of oil in it, just over 2 litres. So when you're putting the oil back in, just make sure you're putting about 2 litres back in as well. And then once you've drained the gearbox, you can then remove the drive shaft out of the actual gearbox. So that there is the bearing hanger. So I think they're 13mm or 1/2 inch nuts to take that off. So they were relatively easy to get off. They weren't tight. Well, they were tight but not seized. And then your drive shaft just pulls out of the gearbox. I'm not sure if you can see that. I don't know if you can see the drive shaft hole. There it is, I think. And the gearbox, the drive shaft just pulls straight out. There wasn't much resistance with that at all once the hanger was off. And that's basically how you remove the drive shaft to get the intermediate drive shaft bearing off, because it doesn't half make a noise when it's gone. And you originally think it's a wheel bearing, but after spinning the wheels realised it wasn't. So yeah, yep. So you just quite simply put your ratchet and your extension bar on there and your 8mm hex, and undo it, and then fill it up. It's roughly over 2 litres, so hope that helps people. Filling the gearbox oil up as well.